What's up, Holo Heads? How you guys doing? Um, as you can see, I have got a board loaded with information and still the board. I know I said I was going to do some 3D animation stuff and whatnot, but I gotta tell you, I felt really lonely without this guy. It's really weird, but I was like standing in front of just like the plain wall and like talking, and I was like, it just felt like acting. It didn't feel like I was actually like giving information and just like naturally talking with you guys. And it didn't feel right, so I'm bringing this guy back, and what I'm going to do is I actually just ordered a bunch of colorful markers, and I'm going to try to just add some things here and there that'll make this presentation a lot better over the time in the next videos, like new microphone and stuff like that, because I know this sounds like shit. That said, ton of information to go through today, ton. So I want to try to clear up everything that we know about the swap as it is. And I know I always say that don't take, like, everything I say isn't facts, it's just my research presented to you from my perspective, and it still is, but there will be some links down below to where I grabbed this information from, so you can look at it yourself if you do want to. Where to start? Okay. Let's just start with a visual, so you can understand how kind of like the exchange works once again. So basically you have the middle, the exchange, and off of it you have nodes. You've got a ETH node, you've got a Bitcoin node, you've got a fiat node, you've got a Holo node, and that's just a few to say, right? And within these nodes, you've got all of the blockchains that that are built off the Bitcoin model that would be running off the Bitcoin node. ETH models like HOT, being an ECR20 token, would be going through the ETH node into the exchange right now, and that's why we're trying to get off of the HOT token, is to get rid of those gas fees, because it's an inefficient model, and with the Holo node coming into play in the future, there's no real need for it, and we'll get to that. But that said, we're going to go into green paper page 21. Like I said, I'll link the green paper down below. You can scroll to page 21 and read through it. There's tons of really good information in there. But when you're thinking about why Holochain is going to be such a big deal and why a lot of us are so passionate about it, is the fact that when you look at cloud-based services as a whole, it's a very big market. Like, we're talking hundreds of billions and rapidly growing, right? So like, look at Amazon just started their own server up, and it's called AWS, and they wouldn't build that unless they knew that there was going to be a lot of money to be made there. So keep that in your mind when you're thinking about how is Holochain going to be valued in the future. There's going to be a lot of value there, and they actually go further on to say in that topic that the participants the people that participate in the ecosystem will be well rewarded. That's written like that, and it's safe to say that there's a lot of money to be had in this business. So people who are going to be running their own holoports or their own holo nodes will definitely be making money, and that's something that's very, very reassuring. Now, something that is scaring a lot of people is the fact of the holo host kind of rumors that have been going around, how they're the only ones that can cash out for money. And it is true, but it's only partially true. And before I get into that, I wanted to talk about the title, the Swappening. I chose that very specifically because of things like, the Apple servers, they got hacked and was bred out the Fappening, right? And why is that important going forward with Holochain, and the importance of it in its future is that with sharding and the way that the Holochain ecosystem works, there is no centralized location in which all information will be stored. Therefore, the security risk of your information is very, very minimal. And this is, like, honestly, if looking at it at base, it just seems like, oh, that's not that important. But to put it into perspective, let's talk about military operations. These holo networks can be applied in mesh networks and secure mesh networks, and if one is compromised, they can just take it out of the ecosystem and it'll instantly adapt to it, right? Government communications between your parliament and between government offices, they can then don't have to worry about those dang pesky Russians, right? And then the Russians don't have to worry about the Americans. So everybody wins in that one. like NATO, like just going back to government, but banking systems and stuff like that. No more worried about like wire transfers and stuff like that getting compromised. You know, just there's so many applications, even like in the commercial business, right there alone. Let alone like say that you wanted to send some pictures of your children. They're taking a bath and you think your kids are cute. You want to send them to your relative. No hacker, no freaky frickin' piece of crap hacker can access those pictures of your children. And if that's not reassuring enough for just like the average user, I don't know what could be more reassuring. Then we've got scientists can talk openly. People in China can finally get their messages out, right? Like there's just so many applications to why this network needs to succeed for us as a whole community and society, like a whole society to become a community. Like the fact that the entire world would be able to communicate with each other and not have our information censored, some people might look at that as a bad thing, in the sense that, the bad people will take advantage of that, and bad people take advantage of everything. If you don't think that hackers are out there manipulating data content and hiding their identities online right now as is, you're delusional. You can't stop innovation. Like you cannot prevent innovation because of bad people. Bad people are going to exist regardless, and we just have to keep pushing forward and try our best to avoid having scenarios and situations like that. So that's my 10 cents on that. But going back to the Fappening, where Apple servers were hacked and tons of lewd pictures, were taken and distributed on a Reddit forum, but now it's its own site. And the swappening is basically the mirror version of that. No longer could that be possible. No longer can that happen. No longer can somebody just go to one server and steal everybody's information. Impossible. And that is very reassuring. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into the stuff you guys want to talk about, probably the money. So basically, in regards to the swap and like a little bit of confusion with the one-to-one and hosts only being able to cash out and stuff like that, the one-to-one transaction, HOT being equal to the price of Holo Fuel, is only during the swap. So the swap is going to last a minimum 6 months while they implement the Holo node into the exchange. What the Holo node is going to do is basically change the exchange into another user. It's going to basically create a Holo user within the exchange. So they are going to own their own Holo account that they will transfer fuel in and out of. And that being said, so while that is being set up, Holo Fuel or Holoport owners need to be paid for their services during that. So during that, they will be able to transfer their Holo Fuel back to HOT because HOT already has a way into the fiat system, right? And that is only temporary. As soon as the swap's over, as soon as that node is up on enough exchanges that people can regularly, basically that people can then sell their Holo Fuel onto the exchange, there's no need for the HOT to exist anymore, right? Like this doesn't have to exist anymore once you're able to bring the Holo Fuel through the exchange. So, and then the next point being that the Holo Fuel owners will be the only ones who can exchange their Holo Fuel directly for fiat. True, but false. True, but false. True being that essentially Holo Fuel owners have a direct contact with the reserve, and they can cash directly out of the reserve for their Holo Fuel earned through hosting only, not their ICO credits, not the money coming forward, or not the money coming out of HOT being exchanged. Those cannot be exchanged directly through the reserve. They have to be brought through the exchange. So you still can, but there's a reason for it, and that is e-money and legalities. So in order for basically Holo Fuel, if we were all able to just cash straight out for it and exchange it for cash, it would then be considered e-money. It would be a legal tender, and there would be a ton of legal boundaries that the Holo team would have to hop through, and it would put back their progress significantly, having to deal on that side. So by doing this, what happens is that this becomes a trade, like a trade of goods. It is no longer an e-currency. It's just like something that you're swapping, as if I was like, I had a trading card that had a value and I'm trading you for your trading card that has a value. But the exchanges, they have the access to the fiat nodes. So one thing that you will be able to trade them for is fiat. So it would be no different than you selling a card or something like that, like if you wanted to put a more physical presence to it. Each one of your holo fuels is like a certificate that's worth a certain amount, but it's not directly worth money, but it is, if that makes sense, and I really hope it does. And there's a specific reason they did this too through the crypto industry, is because of the decimal places. And from my perspective, there's one of two reasons. This many reasons. One of this many reasons to choose the crypto for the decimal place, and that is that, let's say hosts decide one holo fuel is worth a month's worth of storage. Now, that is a big amount. Like, that would make that one holo fuel credit worth quite a lot of money. Like, let's just put it at $1,000, okay? That's probably too low for an entire month's worth of storage, but that we're going on like medians here, like mediums, like whatever, average case scenarios. Talk out my ass. So the decimal places would help in the fact that, let's say you didn't need a month's storage, you wanted to just get a couple days or like a week. The normal credit currency right now couldn't adjust to that value. So in order to do those microtransactions, the current fiat can only go 2 decimal places over, right? Like you can't go any lower than a penny, and this causes issues with the ability to basically for holo fuel to adjust to market needs and costs, and allowing for, like we said, like tons, like thousands and thousands of transactions at a much smaller level. Or it could be the other way, which is that crypto is worth, I guess, a lot less. Like, let's say it was worth like $1 per like gigabyte or something like that, and you only needed a megabyte. You can then fraction the data that way, right? So it's all going to be relative to the value, and the decimal place in the crypto is very important to the ecosystem in terms of transaction abilities and just needs of apps developers and people running business through their apps via holo fuel, because that'll be a possibility in the future too. Now, hopefully that clears up the fact that not only hosts will be able to sell their holo fuel, the only difference is, I'll go over it one more time, is holo fuel earned by hosting is directly able to be cashed out from the reserve. Holo fuel that you're holding onto or that you buy has to either be spent on hosting or traded via the exchange, right? But it will be available to be traded on the exchange. It says it right in the papers that they will help any exchange get their holo node set up, and it's going to be a task. It's not going to be the easiest thing, hence the 6-month plus period in which the hosting will be figured out. Something that's really cool about this too is the fact that one day we might not even need that to happen. We won't need to go through a centralized exchange, because eventually someone's going to come out with a decentralized exchange, the DEX there, and host it on the Holo network itself, and then holo fuel would be that much more valuable. Honestly, if you're looking at this grand scheme of futures, like I know people are worried about the stable economy and stuff like that. It's stable, yes, but the whole purpose of the crypto and the adaptable environment and the ecosystem is that it can then grow with the economy. So as more holo ports get added in, as more nodes get added in, like just think about it. You've got 5G towers going up. I know a lot of people are scared of those. But they're going up, and you've got cell phones with tons of storage on them now. Like I think my phone has 120 gigabytes of storage, and I literally only use it to stare at my crypto account and do some research. So I've got a ton of storage there that I'm not using, that I could easily be selling while I'm walking around. right? The expansion of the network is infinite, and I've gone into the other video about how the competition drives the prices. Well, there is no limit to the size of this network other than the capacity in which we can operate as an entire civilization of Earth. Every single bit of storage that can be connected to the internet will be able to be a Holo node, pretty much, as long as you have the computer requirements, which won't be much. Had a question actually about GPUs. A GPU won't be required because you're not computing complex hash, like you're not completing complex hash. Like it's all your computer is doing is exchanging data information, and the information itself is actually what is the basis of a Holo chain network. So there's no mining. The network itself is the blockchain, essentially. It's crazy. It's actually like super cool. So the currency and the kind of like the ticket for exchange is the actual exchange itself, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Don't want to confuse anybody anymore, but I really hope that this kind of helped you out and gave you a little bit of ease of mind. I know that a lot of people are really freaking out over whether or not to switch from hot to holofuel, and from all the research that I've done so far, holofuel seems like the safest bet. Honestly, it's no gas fees, instantaneous transactions, and once it's on the exchanges, like there's literally no reason for hot at that point once you can exchange your holofuel on the exchange. And as well as hot won't be connected with the Holo ecosystem anymore. It will be its own identity, and I feel like the only reason it would even exist past this point would either be the first pair that's available in the exchange. So that said, like let's say the exchange opens and your avenue would be it's paired to hot, but hot has a different value than holofuel, right? So you would have to then sell your holofuel to hot, sell it to currency. And it's an extra step, but we're used to doing that with crypto. But eventually, likely, there will be the direct to fiat approach. It's just going to be kind of like a time thing. But like I said, again, the Holo ecosystem is infinitely expandable, right? So why would you not want to have your currency grow with something that is just needed by almost every avenue of digital happening? But like I said, this is just from my perspective. You guys do your own research and come to your own conclusions. I really, really hope this helped. This has been a really long video, so you guys take care, eh? Oh yeah, let's see if this works in one click this time.